What's up my loves, my name is Paige, this is Paige with Paige, and today we're going to be doing my Q1 anticipated releases of 2022. For this year, I've decided to split it up. Instead of doing my anticipated releases for every month, splitting it into quarters, talking through any series that I'm interested in, and then 5 from each month. I'm also going to be keeping more of a spreadsheet style format for the anticipated releases for this year, rather than just the Word document I had last year. So I'll leave it linked below, which will have all the ones that I've found and are actively interested in. Admittedly, there are not going to be many crime or thriller, mysteries, any of that. There might be a few pop up every now and again. They're just not my go-to genres, so they're not the ones that I'm most anticipating. I know plenty are around, so I would highly recommend checking out other channels as well, especially to get to those particular genres. But I have 25 books that I want to talk about today, so let's dive in. So the first 10 I want to talk about are series, so I'll just be very brief with them, not too much information. Just know that I am really highly anticipating these and very excited, and or they are very hyped series that you might want to know that the next one is coming out. So the first is coming out on the 4th of January, and that's Where the Drowned Girls Go by Shauna Maguire. This is the 6th in the Wayward Children series, and I know that this is super popular. I've read the first one. I'm actually intending on binging these, probably not by the 4th of January, but sometime next year, and I can't wait to get to all of them and see how it goes. The next comes out on January 6th, and that is The Tower at the End of Time by Amy Sparks. This is the second in the House at the Edge of Magic series, which started last year, and I read it and absolutely loved it, so I can't wait to see where the series goes. On the 14th of January, we have Akata Woman by Delia. So I genuinely thought Akata Witch was a duology, and then I saw that the third one was coming out and was like, holy crap, okay, cool. So definitely wanting to push that out for those that have read it. I think it's going to be fantastic. I love Delia writing, so if you didn't know, there is a third one and it's coming out on the 14th. And then My Ovaries Can't Deal on the 18th of January. Electric Idol by Katie Robert is coming out, and this is the sequel to Neon Gods. This is following Eros and Psyche, I believe, and I am so fucking keen. Like, holy god, Katie Robert can do no wrong. So I'm so keen to be back in this Mafia-inspired world, and just, I have so much fun with these characters. I can't wait to see what she brings to the table, and you can bet your bottom dollar I will be getting my hands on that ASAP. So into February, the series that we have coming out. The first is coming out on the 2nd of February, and that is The Thousand Eyes by A.K. Blackwood. This is the sequel to The Unspoken Name, which is about an orc. I'm keen. I genuinely thought it was a standalone, so I'm really curious to see what's happening with the sequel and where it's gonna go. Then on the 3rd of February, we have Storm of Sisters by Michelle Harrison, which is the 4th in the Pinch of Magic series, which these characters are just so cute. I can't deal. I'm so excited. The cover is absolutely stunning. They're shaking it up from its usual style, but I'm super here for it and super keen to get to this. So I recently read the 3rd Tangle of Spells and had a blast, so I'm definitely eager to get back to these characters as soon as I can. Then on the 15th of February, I have House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J Maas, which is the 2nd in the Crescent City series. I fell in love with House of Earth and Blood, and I am so excited to get to the second one. I have asked Ash to order it in for me so I can get the hardcover version, as I kindly got gifted the first one in hardcover, so I would like to actually, you know, try and make my series match. We'll see how it goes, but I'm super keen for this. I think it's going to be fantastic, and I cannot wait. Also on the 15th of February, we are getting Bitter by Akwaeke Emezi. So this is the prequel novel to Pet, and we are following Pet's mum, who is bitter, and I believe it's like going to give us more information into what happened before with everything that occurred in Pet, and I'm so keen. I really wanted to see the parent side of things, and we're getting that, so yes, hands down, we'll be picking that up. I'm super keen, and I just love Akwaeke Emezi's writing, so I'm definitely heavily invested into getting to this series. Then on the 17th of Feb, we have The Map Makers by Tamsin Merchant. Doesnt. So I read The Hat Makers, which is the first in this series, and it was so much fun. Tamsin Merchant narrates the audiobooks and she does such a fantastic job. You're so invested with these characters, and it's a Victorian setting. In the first one, make hats and they can imbue magic into the hats to influence people to think particular ways and to have emotions and things like that, and it's all just really beautifully executed. So I'm really curious and very excited to get to the sequel and see where the story goes from the ending of the first one. And then the last series that I'm going to mention is coming out on the 3rd of March, and that is Rainbow Grey, Eye of the Storm by Laura Ellen Anderson, and I read the first one also for Believeathon, and I had so much fun. I absolutely love these characters. The story is just so fun and beautiful and whimsical, and I can't wait to dive back into this world. I really hope Gusty Gav makes an appearance, and I'm just super keen. Her illustrations are wonderful and you just have so much fun. It's so comforting to read, so I can't wait for the second one. Alrighty, so those are the 10 series that I'm interested coming out in January, February and March. And so now I want to get into first of series and or standalones, and I just, these are I'm so keen. I'm so keen. Like I said, I will leave a link to my entire spreadsheet just so you can peruse for any other ones rather than just the top 5 that I'm mentioning. I'll also be using Goodreads as my best friend for giving synopsises of these. With the sequels, obviously, I don't want to say too much about what's going on, so that's why I haven't given a synopsis, but for these ones I actually will. The first is coming out on the 4th of January, and that is Kindred by Alicia Doe. To save a galactic kingdom from revolution, kindred mind pairings were created to ensure each and every person could be seen and heard, no matter how rich or poor. Joy Abra knows her place. A commoner from a lowly planet, Haley, she lives a simple life, apart from the notoriety that being kindred to the nobility's most infamous playboy brings. Duke Fearless Hamdi has a plan. He will exasperate his noble family to the point that they agree to let him choose his own future and finally meet his kindred face to face. Then the royal family is assassinated, putting Felix next in the line for the throne and accused of the murders. Someone will stop at nothing until he's dead, which means they'll target Joy too. Meeting in person for the first time as they steal a spacecraft and flee amid chaos might not be ideal, and neither is crash landing on the strange backward planet called Earth, but hiding might just be the perfect way to discover the truth of the kindred bond and expose the scandal and a love that may decide the future of a galaxy. 1, this cover is fucking stunning, and 2, that sounds brilliant. It definitely like giving me the best rom-com sort of vibes, but with more hard-hitting than actual comedy, and I'm so keen to get to this. I think it sounds absolutely fantastic. Next, coming out on January 11th is The Bone Spindle by Leslie Vedder. I just need to read the tagline and you'll know why I fucking will have gone for this. Sleeping Beauty meets Indiana Jones in this thrilling fairy tale retelling for fans of Sorcery of Thorns and All the Stars and Teeth. Fee is a bookish treasure hunter with a knack for ruins and riddles who definitely doesn't believe in true love. Shane is a tough as dirt girl warrior from the north who likes cracking skulls, pretty girls, and doing things her own way. Briar Rose is a prince sleeping under a curse who's been waiting 100 years for the kiss that will wake him. Cursed princes are nothing but ancient history to Fee until she pricks her finger on a bone spindle whilst exploring a long lost rune. Now she's stuck with the spirit of Briar Rose until she and Shane can break the century-old curse on his kingdom. Dark magic, witch hunters, and bad exes all stand in her way, not to mention a mysterious witch who might wind up stealing Shane's heart along with whatever else she's after. But nothing scares Fee more than the possibility of falling in love with Briar Rose. So yes, 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 yes. Cool. I am so fucking keen for this. Oh my god. I have a sneaky suspicion this might be an Owlcrate or Fairy Loot book that comes out just based off the Charlie Bowater cover, I believe. And yeah, that sort of vibe. I can see them picking it up, but I'm definitely going to pick it up because holy shit, that sounds fucking fantastic. Next, also coming out on the 11th of January, is Battle of the Linguistic Mages by Scott O'More. So this, yeah, see if you can make sense of this. In modern day Los Angeles, a shadowy faction led by the governor of California develops the arcane art of combat linguistics, planting the seeds of a future totalitarian empire in Scott O'More's Battle for the Linguist Mages. Isabel is the queen of the medieval rave-themed VR game Sparkle Dungeon. Her prowess in game makes her an ideal candidate to learn the secrets of power morphemes, unnaturally dense units of meaning that warp perception when skillfully pronounced. I would fail that astronomically. Isabel's reputation makes her the target of a strange resistance movement led by spellcasting anarchists who may be the only thing stopping the Cabal from toppling California over the edge of a terrible transformation with 40 million lives at stake. Time is short for Isabel to level up and choose a side because the Cabal has attracted much bigger and weirder enemies than the anarchist resistance, emerging from dark and vicious dimensions of reality and heading straight for planet Earth. What the actual fuck? I'm so keen. This sounds so completely out of my wheelhouse that I'm totally here for it. So I think it's an odd choice, but I'm definitely keen. I haven't seen anyone talking about it, but I'm definitely curious in picking it up. The next coming out is on January 25th, and that is The Keeper by Guadalupe Garcia McCall. And what Goodreads says is that it's inspired by the terrifying true story of the Westfield Watcher. This bone-chilling middle-grade novel by Mexican-American author Guadalupe Garcia McCall will keep readers guessing until the pulse-pounding ending. The first letter turns up on his desk. The second is stuck between the spokes of his bike. The third flies through the kitchen window. And they are all addressed to James from someone called The Keeper. Moving from Texas to Oregon was a bad idea. No sooner have James and his family arrived in their perfect new town than he starts getting mysterious and sinister letters from someone called The Keeper. Someone who claims to be watching him. Someone who's looking for young blood. James and his sister Ava are obviously in danger. But the problem with making a fuss about moving and having a history of playing practical jokes is that no one believes James, not even his parents. Now James and Ava need to figure out who is sending the letters before they become the next victims in their neighborhood's long history of missing children. Because one thing is clear, uncovering the truth about The Keeper is the only thing that will keep them alive. Full of chilling twists that will keep readers guessing until the end, this middle grade novel is perfect for fans of the Jumbies, the Night Gardener, and other tales of things that go bump in the night. I just think this sounds so brilliant. The fact that it's inspired by like a true story also adds an element of just concern. I'm super keen to see a horror middle grade. It's not one genre that you hear about too frequently, so I'm curious to see how it goes, and I'm definitely curious in picking it up. And the last January release that I have is coming out on the 27th of January, and I was gonna swap it out with something else, but then I couldn't help myself, and that is Pandora by Susan Stokes Chapman. On Goodreads it says, a pure pleasure of a novel set in Georgian London where the discovery of a mysterious ancient Greek vase sets in motion conspiracies, revelations, and romance. I love this already. I don't need to read anything more. I love antiquity. I'm not a big fan of historical fiction, so I'm hoping that this is enough of both to make me really happy, but I just love Greek myth retellings and books that are inspired by Greek myth. Obviously, being Pandora's box, I'm very curious to see how this shapes up, and I'm super excited to get my hands on this one. My wallet is already hurting. Then diving into February's. So on February 1st, we have This Woven Kingdom by Tahara Mafi. This is the first in a new trilogy by her. I'm very curious in picking up her stuff. I have recently bought the first in the Shadow Me series. I've never read any of her work before, so I'm very curious to see how this one goes. Essentially, the tagline is clashing empires, forbidden romance, and a long-forgotten queen destined to save her people. So I'm very curious to see her take on that, because I'm not sure if it's going to be YA or adult. I have a feeling it might be a little bit more YA, but it is inspired by Persian mythology, which is also really fascinating, and I'm super keen to give this one a try. So let me know if I should try Shadow Me first or just dive straight into this. Then on the 8th of Feb, I have Ophelia After All by Raquel Marie, who is Rocky from BookTube and AuthorTube, and I'm so excited to see her debut out in the world. Ophelia Roches knows what she likes. Her best friends, Cuban food, rose gardening, and boys. Way too many boys. Her friends and parents make fun of her endless stream of crushes, but Ophelia is a romantic at heart. She couldn't change even if she wanted to. So when she finds herself thinking more about the cute, quiet Talia Sanchez than the loss of a perfect prom with her ex-boyfriend, seeds of doubt take root in Ophelia's firm image of herself. Yes, give me those LGBT vibes. I am so keen, and seeing just how amazing this looks, I'm super keen to get to this YA contemporary. I think it's going to be fantastic. Then I have 3 on the 22nd of February. The first being I'm So Not Over You by Kosoko Jackson. It's been months since aspiring journalist Kyan Andrews has heard from his ex-boyfriend Hudson Rivers, but an urgent text has them meeting at a cafe. Maybe Hudson wants to profusely apologise for the breakup, or confess his undying love. But no, Hudson wants to ask a favor. He wants Kyan to pretend to be his boyfriend while his parents are in town, and Kyan reluctantly agrees. The dinner doesn't go exactly as planned, and suddenly Kyan is Hudson's +1 to George's wedding of the season. Hudson comes from a wealthy family where reputation is everything, and he really can't afford another mistake. If Kyan goes, he'll help Hudson preserve appearances and get the opportunity to rub shoulders with some of the biggest names in the media. This could be the big career break Kyan needs, but their fake relationship is starting to feel like it might be more than a means to an end, and it's time for both men to fact check their feelings. Yes, yes, LGBT, baked eating, yes, ha, yes. This sounds amazing, and like the whole coming from wealth and having to pretend to be picture perfect and then, oh, I'm just keen. This sounds so fucking amazing. I say that a lot, that's fine. Then I have The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axio. Can we just appreciate how fucking stunning all of these covers are? Like, oh my god, beautiful. Deadly storms have ravaged Mina's homeland for generations. Floods sweep away entire villages while bloody wars are waged over the few remaining resources. Her people believe the sea god, once their protector, now curses them with death and despair. In an attempt to appease him, each year a beautiful maiden is thrown into the sea to serve as the sea god's bride, in the hopes that one day the true bride will be chosen and end the suffering. Many believe Sim Cheong, the most beautiful girl in the village and the beloved of Mina's older brother June, may be the legendary true bride. But on the night Cheong is to be sacrificed, June follows Cheong out to sea, even knowing that to interfere is a death sentence. To save her brother, Mina throws herself into the water in Cheong's stead. And swept away to the spirit realm, a magical city of lesser gods and mythical beasts, Mina seeks out the sea god, only to find him caught in an enchanted sleep. Fantasy, like, yes, holy shit, this sounds amazing. I am super, super keen. And then, my soul is gonna die, because also coming out on the 22nd of February is Delia Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake, and Ashley Herring Blake has done no wrong by me, and I am so keen to see where she goes next with a clever and steamy queer romantic comedy about taking chances and accepting love with all its complications. Delia Green swore she would never go back to Bright Falls. Nothing is there for her but memories of a lonely childhood where she was little more than a burden to a cold and distant stepfamily. Her life is in New York, with her photography career finally gaining steam and her bed never empty. Sure, it's a different woman every night, but that's just fine with her. When Delia's estranged stepsister Astrid pressures her into photographing their wedding with a guilt trip and a 5-figure check, Delia finds herself back in the godforsaken town that she used to call home. She plans to breeze in and out, but then she sees Claire Sutherland, one of Astrid's stuck-up besties, and decides that it might be some fun and a little retribution to be had in Bright Falls after all. Having raised her 11-year-old daughter mostly on her own while dealing with an unreliable ex and running a bookstore, Claire Sutherland depends on a life without surprises, and Delia Green is an unwelcome surprise at first. Although they've known each other for years, they don't really know each other. So Claire is unsettled when Delia figures out exactly what buttons to push. When they're forced together during a gauntlet of wedding preparations, including a plot to save Astrid from her horrible fiancé, Claire isn't sure she has the strength to resist Delia's charms. Even worse, she's starting to think she doesn't want to. Yes! Words cannot convey the emotions and levels of enthusiasm I have towards this book. I am so fucking keen. I really need to find a different level of vocabulary. That would be great. And then finally, into March. The first two books I have are coming out on the 1st of March. The first being Kelsey Murphy and the Academy for the Unbreakable Arts by Erica Lewis. Brimming with Celtic mythology, action and danger, this introduces readers to a new kind of magical school and a warrior who must choose with which side of an epic battle her destiny will lie. The other world is at war. The Academy for Unbreakable Arts trains warriors, and Kelsey Murphy, a foster child raised in the human world, is dying to attend. A place at AUA means meeting Scathlund, the legendary trainer of Celtic heroes. It means learning to fight with the sword. It means harnessing her hidden powers and, most importantly, finding out who her parents are and why they abandoned her in Boston Harbor 8 years ago. When Kelsey tests into the school, she learns she is a Saga, one of the most ancient beings in the other world. Secretive, shunned, possessed of imposing elemental powers. Fuck yes, I love elemental magic. The Saga are also kin to the Otherworld's most infamous traitor, but Kelsey is a survivor. She'll do whatever it takes to find her parents and her place in their world, even if it means making a few enemies. I am super keen for this. I've recently been approved for an arc through NetGalley, so I'm super excited to actually be able to read and review this. This is middle grade, and I'm just, it just looks so good. I love elemental magic. I love Celtic mythology. I love mythology of any and all types. Let's just be honest about that. And I think this is going to be absolutely fabulous. I can't wait to see her family dynamics and her history as well. I just, ooh, yes! The next also coming out on the 1st is The Lost Dreamer by Liz Rueta. This is a stunning YA fantasy inspired by ancient Mesoamerica. This gripping debut introduces us to a lineage of seers defiantly resisting the shifting patriarchal state that would see them destroyed. Fuck yes! India is a dreamer, descended from the long line of seers, able to see beyond reality. She carries the rare gift of dreaming truth. But when the beloved king dies, his son has no respect for this time-honored tradition. Kinalkan wants an opportunity to bring the dreamers to a permanent end, an opportunity India will give him if he discovers the two secrets she is struggling to keep. As violent change shakes India's world to its core, she is forced to make an impossible choice: fight for her home or fight to survive. Saya is a seer, but not a dreamer. She has never been formally trained. Her mother exploits her daughter's gift, passing it off as her own as they travel from village to village, never staying in one place too long, almost as if they are running from something, almost as if they're being hunted. When Saya loses the necklace she's worn since birth, she discovers that seeing isn't her only gift, and begins to suspect that everything she knows about her life has been a carefully constructed lie. As she comes to distrust the only family she's ever known, Saya will do what she's never done before, go where she's never been, and risk it all in search of answers. I believe this might be Jul's perspective, and I'm super keen. Also, stunning. All these covers, stunning. This sounds absolutely fantastic, and I can't wait to see how this world is built and also the different types of magic that is present in it. It sounds so fascinating, and I am just here for it. The next two are coming out on the 22nd of March, and the first being The Bone Orchid by Sarah A. Muller. This is a bit of an odd choice for me. I think I've recently discovered my love for skeleton hands on covers, even though I don't actually ever end up picking them up. Need to though. The Bone Orchid is a fascinating whodunit set in a lush gothic world of secrets and magic, where a dying emperor charges his favorite concubine with solving his own murder and preventing the culprit, which is undoubtedly in one of his 3 terrible sons, from taking control of an empire. Charm is a witch, and she is alone, the last line of conquered necromantic workers, now confined within the yard of regrown bone trees at Orchid House, and the secrets of their marrow. Charm is a prisoner and a survivor. Charm tends the trees and their clattering fruit for the sake of her children, painstakingly grown and regrown with its fruit. Shame, justice, desire, pride, and pain. Charm is a whore and a madam. The wealthy and the powerful of Beauregard come to her house to buy time with the girls who aren't real, except on Tuesdays, which is when the emperor himself lays claim to his mistress, Charm herself. But now Charm is also the only person who can see an empire together, as the emperor summons her to his deathbed and charges her with choosing which of his awful faithless sons will carry on the empire by discovering which one is responsible for his own murder. If she does this last thing, she will finally have what has been denied her since the fall of Inshil, her freedom, but she will also be betraying the ghosts past and present that live on within her heart. Charm must choose her dead emperor's will or the whispers of her own ghost, justice for the empire or her own revenge. What? Yes! Yes? Yes. Yes. Concubines, magic, what the fuck? Yes. I'm really curious to see how this shapes up, if it is like a whodunit mystery or if it does have more of a paranormal element to it rather than just focusing on like the whodunit side of things. I'm really curious and super excited just based off the genre blending that is occurring. Then I have also coming out on the 22nd, Come Up and Served Cold by Marion Deeds. A beautifully constructed magical heist in the turn of the century Seattle. Seattle 1929, a bitterly divided city overflowing with wealth, violence, and magic. A respected magus and a city leader intent on criminalizing Seattle's most vulnerable magicers hires a young woman as a lady's companion to curb his rebellious daughter's outrageous behavior. The widowed owner of a speakeasy encounters an opportunity to make her husband's murderer pay while she tries to keep her shapeshifter's brother safe. A notorious thief slips into the city to complete a delicate and dangerous job that will leave chaos in its wake. One thing's for certain, comeuppance eventually waits for everyone. Does that not sound brilliant? Cover and just that description alone is just so good. So many good books are coming out in 2022 and I'm just so here for it. Top tier level of excitement because holy shit, how do people come up with these concepts? Fucked if I know. And the last one that I'm going to mention is again by my queen, Katie Robert, coming out on the 29th of March. Look at this fucking cover, The Dragons Bribe. What the fuck? I love it. The synopsis, also just here for this. Brace yourself. Briar Rose might have a name out of a storybook, but she's learned at a very young age that no prince was coming to save her. She'll have to save herself. Unfortunately, even that is an impossible task in her current situation. Trapped in a terrifying marriage to a dangerous man. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Which is how she finds herself making a deal with a demon. Freedom from her husband in return for 7 years of service. She expects the service to be backbreaking and harsh. She doesn't expect to be put on an auction block in a room full of literal monsters and sold to the highest bidder to sell a dragon. He might seem kinder than his fearsome look imply, but she knows better than to trust the way he wants to take care of her or how invested he is in her own pleasure. In her experience, if something seems too good to be true, it certainly is. Falling for Sol is out of the question. She's suffered enough, and she has no intention of staying in this realm, even if she leaves her heart behind when she returns to her normal life. What? Holy shit. I'm so excited. Obviously, Katie Roberts, like, dragon smite, maybe? What? Let's just say I'm gonna die on the 29th of March because... amazing. Apologies for the lengthy video. Talking through all of these books obviously will make them longer videos than having the semi-shorter ones every month, but I hope you don't mind. I think that this is going to just free up a little bit more time to be able to put out videos of other types of content rather than just talking through every month the anticipated releases for the next month. But let me know in the comments, one, what is an anticipated release for your Q1, whether that be series, standalones, or the beginning of one, and or how do you find the layout of doing these quarterly rather than monthly? So for me personally, I like watching quarterly ones as well. I just find it more concise, and then I can have a list. Obviously more things are going to be coming out, and I can't cover every single book, but I never cover them fully in the monthly ones anyway. So check out the spreadsheet if you would like to see any more that I have accrued throughout my travels in finding out anticipated releases. If you like this video, feel free to give it a big thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more of this mess, feel free to subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you in my next video. Bye!